What if the conversations we've been taught to avoid about sex, desire, and our bodies are actually the ones that set us free? Welcome to Sex Ritual Radio. I'm your host, Rose Heartsong. This is the show where sexuality, spirituality, and vital health meet, and where we explore the conversations most people consider oh so taboo. Each week, I sit down with fascinating voices exploring intimacy, relationships, healing, and human potential. Let's dive in. Hello. This is Sex Ritual Radio, and this is Rose Heartsong. We're going to be talking about a topic that's been just really relevant and active in my field of having these conversations with everybody that I am coming in contact with lately. And I realize that it's a very potent topic. I'm going to be doing a solo episode today. So it's just you and me and the mic. And today we're going to be talking about something very simple, but it's extremely radical. So something that could potentially change your sex life and your relationships immediately. And it's all about positive reinforcement. So there's a book that I really want the author to be on the show. It's called The Queen's Code, and it talks a lot about how to have a healthy relationship in communication between the masculine and feminine. It's specifically targeted to women to talk to the masculine. And when I say this, talking in a way that works, right? So right now, if you look at the society and the way that we're communicating globally at the moment, it's not working effectively. There's a lot of you're wrong, I'm right, you're bad, I'm good. And there's a lot of attack. And that is infiltrating into the bedroom and our intimacy and our daily lives. And so positive reinforcement, I think, is the most important thing we could be doing right now for ourselves, for our negative self-talk, and for those around us. And I'm not saying be fake positivity. I'm not saying go out there and be cheesy and say nice things to manipulate and get what you want. I'm not talking about spiritual bypassing or bypassing in any way. I'm not telling you to go out and pretend that something isn't wrong, because there's a lot of things in this world and maybe in your relationship or your intimacy life that are not working and they're not right. They're not right for you. I'm not saying we should bypass that. But I'm saying that we should consciously choose to reinforce what is going right. And a lot of times there's a lot going, but unfortunately, we are feeding the negativity. And whatever you feed will grow. The good old Tony Robbins says, where focus goes, energy flows. So if we're focusing on negativity, then we're going to create more negativity in our lives because our energy is focused on that. And most couples, or humans, let's just say humans, but I'm going to target specifically couples and intimacy and sexuality and all of that tonight, because that's what this show is a lot about. It's Sex Ritual Radio, and we talk a lot about spirituality, sexuality, and holistic healing here on this show. And by the way, I have been telling you guys this since January, but I did change the show name. It used to be called Follow Your Heartsong, but now it's Sex Ritual Radio. So we're talking tonight about what you feed, how it grows. Where focus goes, energy flows, right? Most couples, so I'm going to speak to couples right now, are unknowingly feeding resentment, criticism, and disappointment. And then wondering why the passion in the relationship is gone, why sex has been put on the back burner, right? This is the reality that we live in. This is the world that we live in. And it's very activated right now because as I'm recording this and as we are live right now, yesterday was Valentine's Day. And it was really interesting scrolling on social media and just seeing all these posts of adoration and love and candles and romantic roses and these romantic experiences. And yeah, like, why do we need the foundation of a holiday that's based in a lot of paganism, in all honesty, to tell each other we love each other and appreciate each other? And that's only one day of the year. And I wanted to really invite us to have this as a practice starting right now. As I'm recording this, it is February 15th. And maybe you can take the next year to next February 14th because we're beginning a new year in that concept, right? Maybe we can make February 14th the beginning of the new year for your love and intimacy and devotion. So the new way is being devotional to intimacy, devotional to love. Let's roll back a little bit and get curious as to why we have this negativity bias, because there is a specific reason. Your brain, my brain, our brain, every human's brains are wired to scan for danger. It keeps us protected. That's really what the ego is, right? The core of the ego is to keep us alive. The ego tells us, do not touch the hot stove or the fire because it'll burn us. So fire equals danger. Be aware, be vigilant about that. And this is called negativity bias. Evolutionarily, this has kept us alive. This has kept us a human species. We are currently here because of it. So it is important. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying it's not working. And when I talk with my clients, when I talk to people in my life, I talk about this a lot. It's not good or bad, right or wrong. Is it working for you? Is it not working? Is it nourishing your life and creating more beauty, bliss, joy, happiness, orgasmic ecstasy? Or is it creating compression, frustration, resentment, anger, resistance, irritation, collapse in your body and your nervous system? Or is it making you more free, seen, loved, cared for? So if it's working, that's going to be like the positive aspects that I'm talking about. And if it's not working, it's usually manifesting in negative aspects in your reality. In relationships, the same mechanism makes you notice, I'm sure you've noticed this, especially women. I talked about the Queen's Code at the beginning. I promise I will go back to that. There is an aspect of that. And also, we as women, specifically female brains. So let me reference this. It's really important to understand that men and women have very different brains in the way that we function. And a male's brain isn't right or wrong. The female's brain isn't right or wrong. They're just different. And a lot of times in relationship dynamics, we will come together thinking, like, a woman will think that a man thinks the way she does. And then when he doesn't, she thinks he's misbehaving or doing something wrong. And so do men in their own way. They're like, women are crazy because of our hormones or things like that, right? We have this negativity about the opposite sex a lot of times, or frustration or irritation, or they just don't understand me. And so when we do this with this negative bias and the concept of our brains being different, we notice. Have you ever noticed what your partner didn't do? Like, we have a tendency to really highlight what our partner is doing wrong or what they're not doing. So it's Valentine's Day yesterday. Like, did your partner not do A, B, and C? Or they didn't do it the way you wanted them to do it in your head, but you didn't tell them what it was. So then you were disappointed. That's kind of like the unspoken expectations that we have a tendency to do. And then another thing is your partner can do like 2,000 things right, but then we like highlight the one thing that they did that hurt you. And like you harp on it and you hold on to it and you don't let it go, right? That's the thing we do. And then we fixate on flaws a lot of times, where we like really dial in and magnetize the parts of our partner that just we don't like and they're not doing right. And it just sucks. And then we also ignore all the 20 things that they did that were amazing that day. But then we focus on the one thing that just really irritated us and got in our skin. And then we highlight that and magnetize that and make it bigger. Does this sound familiar to you? I promise you that there's another way, because that isn't working. In my opinion, as a sex coach and as somebody who has the opportunity to hear a lot of stories about a lot of people's sexual lives, I have had the unique opportunity to hear a lot of these complaints. And research consistently shows that negative experiences register more strongly in our brains than positive ones do. They imprint us deeper. And unfortunately, that means if you don't constantly reinforce what's working, the negative will dominate your perception. This is why couples slowly shift from admiration to irritation over time. Not because love disappears, because the attention is shifted and they're focusing on what is wrong all the time, which just honestly does not work. It's not working. It's not helping. It's not supporting. Are you open to seeing it from a different way? Are you open to trying something that may potentially work better for you? The science of this reinforcement in behavioral psychology, reinforcement increases a behavior. So if you're reinforcing a negative pattern or you're reinforcing a positive pattern, regardless of what it is, that reinforcement increases that behavior. When a behavior is followed by a positive consequence, it becomes more likely to occur again. This happens to men and women both, but I'll tell you, in my experience, it helps a lot more if you positively reinforce men. Because men play for points. They play to win. They like to have the loser and the winner. Unfortunately, they like that competitive spirit. And so when they win, then they want to do it again because they love like the high of winning. But in all honesty, I love to win too. I'm a woman. We all have masculine and feminine traits. And so I think it's a human trait. I think the masculine brain or the male brain does have a tendency to be proactively reinforced more effectively, but it does work for women too, except for women have a tendency to have a hard time receiving compliments. I've noticed men too. We just do. Humans have a hard time receiving them. So I think it's important to learn to receive and to give positive reinforcement. This has been demonstrated. So when a behavior is followed by a positive consequence, it becomes more likely to occur again. This has been demonstrated across decades of research in learning theory and relationship studies. In relationship study science, John Gottman found that stable, happy couples maintain approximately 5-to-1 ratio of positive to negative interactions during a conflict. 5 positive interactions for every 1 negative. Not 0 conflict, but strong foundation for reinforcement. So what this is saying is that every single time you make a complaint, one complaint, it's important to have a healthy relationship to do 5 positive reinforcements to that one complaint. So it takes 5 times of saying something positive to someone to balance out on the scale the impacts of that one negative complaint or frustration that you have. When a partner feels appreciated, they try harder. They have a tendency to soften. They become more generous. Their nervous system relaxes. This is so important. Highlight, their nervous system relaxes. Nervous system is really the foundation of everything. This is what I've been noticing lately. And if you're tuning in right now, you are listening to Sex Ritual Radio with Rose Heartsong. We talk about sex, spirituality, holistic health, and anything taboo on this show. Tonight, we're not really talking a lot about taboo. I guess positive reinforcement, unfortunately, is taboo in our world right now because we have a tendency to focus on what's wrong. Studies show that 5-to-1 ratio of positive to negative interactions during conflict. 5 positive equals the same as 1 negative. So it's really important to do that. And they feel appreciated. They try harder. When they feel appreciated, they try harder. They soften, become more generous, and their nervous system relaxes. This is something that I have been learning a lot with my own journey because I've been on this really intense health journey with a spinal injury that I had in September and a concussion and brain injury. The brain and the spine is your nervous system. I've been diving deep into nervous system regulation as so within, as without so within, as I'm going through this regulation internally, which is not easy. It really helps me manifest in clients that I get to go on this journey with and work through. The nervous system is the foundation of everything when it comes to intimacy. If your nervous system is fried, so there's the parasympathetic nervous system and the sympathetic nervous system. The parasympathetic is your rest and relax nervous system, and the sympathetic is your fight or flight. we are all programmed in this negativity, which I'll talk a little bit more about, is in the world, because we're focused so much on what's going wrong right now in the world. Because of that, we're in fight or flight, and we're on our phones, we're on social media, we're comparing ourselves to people all over the world all the time. We're on media, news, the chaos of the planet. Our nervous systems are just fried right now, and they're not in rest and relax. It's really hard, especially with our addictions to our phones, for our bodies to relax and to rest and to just do nothing. And that is not how we're wired as humans to be. A lot of times it's really challenging in a relationship to feel safe and to relax and to let go. And it's really important that when you come home from the chaos of everyday life, that you feel held by your partner. And your partner is able to relax and let go and to settle their nervous system. It's allowed to be in that relaxed state. And when we criticize our partner, we're putting them back into that sympathetic defense, fight or flight state. And it's not nourishing for the relationship. It's not nourishing for us. And it's just not working. When they feel criticized consistently, they shut down, they defend, they withdraw sexually, and they protect themselves. That's it, going to that fight or flight nervous system I was just talking about. So your nervous system opens in safety. Positive reinforcement creates safety. Safety creates erotic energy. Let me say this again. Your nervous system opens in safety. Positive reinforcement creates safety. Safety creates erotic energy. Here's what will kill long-term passion. Chronic correction. If your partner initiates sex and you respond with, "You always do it like that. Why don't you ever? That's not what I like. What is wrong with you? Why can't you listen to me? You haven't heard what I've needed. Oh, you just didn't get it right again. Oh, I'm so frustrated. You just don't get me. You don't care about me," so forth. Does this sound familiar? Eventually, they're going to stop trying. And if your partner plans a date and you say, "It's fine, but next time, can you do this? And next time, can you do that?" Eventually, they're going to stop leading. If someone feels they can never get it right, they will stop playing the game. They're going to stop playing. They're going to stop leaning in. They're going to stop leading and being supportive. Eroticism requires risk, and risk requires safety. And safety requires reinforcement. Back to what I said 3 times. Instead of, "You never touch me the way I want," or "You're not giving me orgasms," or "You're not pleasuring me the way I desire," try, "I loved it when you touched me like that last night." Like, really communicate what they did that you really liked and highlight it. Maybe it's sexually, or just like doing the dishes, or cleaning up, or small things. Like, the funny thing lately with my clients, so I've got some clients right now that are like, we're navigating like 24/7 DS dynamics, that stop and sub dynamics. I have other clients that they run a whole sex swinger community party. And we are talking a lot about what to do in the kitchen and how to navigate cleanup after dinner. That is the foundation of intimacy. Starts in the kitchen. I've noticed it's really funny, but it does long term, definitely. Every single day, you're shaping behavior by your positive or negative reinforcement. And the question is that I have for you, are you shaping it through encouragement or through criticism? Okay, let me go back. You are shaping behavior every single day. The question is, are you shaping it through encouragement or through criticism? Now, let's go outside, right? Let's expand outside of your own intimacy in your own bedroom and your own relationship dynamic, and zoom out a little bit and turn on the news, right? Headlines are built on what is wrong, what is broken, who's failed, and what's collapsing. That is clickbait. That makes money. That sells. It hooks you in. It gets you intent, like it creates this intense sensation in your body. And we are programmed daily to scan for dysfunction by society's programming, by the news, by TV, by movies, by horror movies, by thrillers, by all this intense nervous system fight or flight. social media too, fight or flight. Oh, I should be like that person. They're prettier than me. I got to do that. Like, we are constantly focused on what is not right about our lives or what is not right about the world. And that programming leaks into our relationship. It leaks into our bedroom. It leaks into the very foundation of erotic. It is intimacy and erotic expression through the sheets in your own home. And we're scrolling negativity, we're consuming outrage, and we bring that lens into the core being of ourselves. So the societal programming becomes like our own internal dialogue in our psychology. And then also a story we're telling ourselves. I'm not good enough. I'm not lovable. I'm not worthy. Like, nobody's going to care about me. There's a total inside dialogue that we're dealing with too. And we criticize ourselves. Like, the person that's the meanest to me is myself, really. So it's a constant journey of like self-criticism too. And really being aware of how much you're talking negatively to yourself. And also, when we bring that lens into our bedroom, you cannot marinate in chronic negativity and expect passionate intimacy. You cannot marinate in chronic negativity and expect passionate intimacy. If you constantly reinforce what is wrong in the world, your nervous system stays in vigilance, and vigilance kills desire. Reinforcement works collectively too. What would happen if we reinforced integrity, kindness, growth, effort, small progress? What if we celebrated the little wins in our lives or the big wins? We don't celebrate wins, you guys. Like, we have some amazing things happening in our lives and we're just like, oh, whatever. Like, things that were like so challenging before maybe aren't so challenging, and we don't celebrate that. Instead, we're like focusing on amplifying only mistakes, and what you spotlight expands, what you focus on grows. Where your energy goes, where your focus goes, your energy flows. I cannot say that one for some reason. So, practical tools. Let's talk about it. The 3-1 daily ritual. Before bed, name 3 things your partner did right today. I would recommend getting out your pen and paper, doing this as a practice. So this is like putting it into action and into your flow, right? Small things count. The way they looked at you counted. They looked at you with love and adoration. That counts. The text they sent to let them know that they're running 5 minutes late. That counts. The effort they made, that counts. Like, they made you dinner, or they went grocery shopping, or the little things that we do for each other, they count, and we haven't focused on them. So we're focusing on the big things that are not doing right. And then catch them doing it right. The moment you notice something positive, say it out loud. I love how you handled that. That turned me on so much when you did that. I see you trying. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And then reinforce what behavior you want more of. Be specific. Be clear. Now, oh my gosh, you're so amazing. But when you kiss my cheek or when you kissed my neck slowly like that, I melted. But I really love it when you give me sweet, subtle kisses along my neck and tease me and excite me and slow down. It feels so good, right? Interact. You got to interrupt your correction habit. So before criticizing, ask, how have I reinforced what's working today? So remember the 5-1 rule. Reinforce 5 good things before criticizing. And this works in all areas, not just in the bedroom, but like with your coworkers and your colleagues and your employees and your employer and all areas of your life. It really, our intimate relationships really impact our emotional system and our nervous system the most. And our family does too. And the closest people to us, you can do this with everyone. You don't just have to do it with the person you're sleeping with. And then shift your media diet. Limit how much negativity you consume and notice how your desire shifts when your nervous system isn't flooded with a threat. So if you have been focusing on the news a lot and it's stressing you out and it's creating chaos in your intimacy in your relationship with your partner, maybe it's a good idea to turn off the news, because though it's important to know what's happening in the world, all the details are creating chaos, right? We didn't know for thousands of years, every single minute with a device in our pocket, everything that was happening on the planet. Literally, the news and the media is programmed as clickbait. It is programmed to make money. It is programmed for you to consume and pay attention to it. And so when you choose to radically stand up for it and try something different, that's pretty amazing, in all honesty. And I'm not saying put your head in the sand and don't pay attention, but don't consume it maybe right before you go to bed or right when you wake up, and give yourself a time limit when you do. And maybe do it every other day or once a week or something like that. Another one is that you can do so I think positive, and I want to dive deeper into positive reinforcement because I think this is really important. It is hard to focus on positive reinforcement when we're consuming negativity, as I said. And it's also hard when you're not practicing mindfulness. So however you would like to practice mindfulness is really up to you. But when I say practicing mindfulness, let's go back to this nervous system. I'm going to do a little easy, quick breakdown of the nervous system. So if you don't understand the nervous system, we have a brain. Most people know that, right? And then our brain is connected to our spinal cord at the back of our head. It goes down our necks, down through our whole spine, all the way down. And we have different sections of our spinal cord. And that spinal cord is protected by our bones down our spine. And it is then little tiny nerves that come off the spinal cord, and they go to the whole body, and they tell the body what to do. So they tell the body to breathe. They tell the body to digest. They tell the body to pump the heart, every single thing. And so then we're going to get constant information. So like when we're touching things, when we're smelling things, when we're hearing things, when we're seeing things, that's going to all go back to the brain. The brain is going to understand it and respond. And so it's basically like a computer programming system that's magical and incredible and amazing. And yet our kind of the parasympathetic, the rest and relax part of our nervous system is underutilized, and it's not being practiced. We're forgetting to go to the rest and relax gym. We're just going to the gym to strengthen the parts of our nervous system that go into fight or flight. And so when I talk about that, it's hard for most modern people living in the world today, including myself. I'm not going to say that it's easy to practice mindfulness. And when I say practicing mindfulness, there's so many different ways you can do it. But the basic foundation is meditation, yoga, breath work, tai chi, cold plunging. I'm thinking of all the things that kind of regulate the nervous system. Getting off your phone and spending time in nature, being quiet, not constantly being bombarded by information like computers, music, the radio, even that, like information overload, putting your feet on the ground, spending time like literally connecting with the earth, sleeping, taking baths, going to the spa, doing things that make you feel peaceful. Is there anything else that I can think of that's a really good rest and relax? Getting off your phone is like the biggest one. I'm telling myself that as much as I'm telling you, because I definitely am working on my addiction to my phone. I'm not saying that I'm better than you. I'm on this journey too, and I'm really doing it. Oh, red light therapy, huge. Doing red light and not having blue lights at night, because that doesn't put your body in rest and relax. It keeps your body not creating melatonin. So when the blue lights are on, the body thinks that the sun is still out. And so it doesn't start making melatonin. And when it doesn't start making melatonin, it makes it very hard for you to actually go into a deep REM sleep. So that's hard for the rest and relax as well. So practicing stillness, practicing mindfulness, practicing being okay, relaxing, and not doing, just being, is going to really support you in paying attention to what is working, what is going right in your life, what your partner is doing that's beautiful and kind and respectful and sweet. Because there's going to be, if you're with somebody, as long as it's not like a really toxic, dangerous, awful relationship, which I don't recommend anyone being in, but if you're in a relationship with somebody and you love them, there's a piece of you that deeply is devoted to them and cares about them and wants to make them happy, and you want them to make you happy. It's really important to focus on what it is that they're doing. I really want to emphasize this and really highlight it and communicate it. Like, thank you for going grocery shopping today. I really appreciate it. Thank you for getting gas for my car. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for opening the door for me. Like the little things. Thank you for cooking dinner. Thank you for whatever it is, going out of your way to appreciate and be in gratitude for what's working is so important. And then making a request from a place like, don't shower them, love bomb them. I'm not saying love bomb to try to get them to like you and want to be with you and all that kind of stuff. I'm not saying manipulate, but be authentic to what they are that's making your life better. Maybe they take out the trash. I don't like taking out the trash. When a partner takes out the trash, I'm stoked because that just makes me feel gross. So not only expressing what it is that they do, but telling them the impact of how it makes you feel, or the impact of how it softens your nervous system or makes you feel closer to them is really important, and really emphasizing it. And then when something's not working, there's an aspect of how they're behaving that's not working. A lot of times we don't talk about it and we get resentful and we squish it down and we get frustrated and then we explode and we attack them. And that doesn't work either. So when somebody comes to you with something that's not working, communicating it right up front, being like, hey, your tone right now is making me feel frustrated and I am having a hard time hearing you. I just want to shut down and run away and disconnect right now. But that's not my desire to be connected. So can you please communicate in a way with a different tone? Because I can tell you're passionate about what you're sharing, but it's just not working. Instead of like, why are you talking to me that way again? You're being so rude. You're being so obnoxious. I am like, F you. Blah, blah, blah. That doesn't work. And the ego wants to defend, especially when we're in fight or flight, because the ego's job is to protect you. The heart's job is not to protect you. The heart's job is to connect you. One of my clients that I've been working with for over 2 years, she had an art gallery show. She had an art gallery and she asked if she could quote me in her art exhibit, and it was a huge honor. And in all honesty, I actually have got this from 3 different areas of learning. I learned it from my sex coach certification training and her partner, and then I learned it from my work with Mary Magdalene. And I also learned it from another spiritual teacher of mine, and I kind of put it all together and brought it together with Mary Magdalene's The Sacred Return to Love. And it was from my coach that I did on a training that I did called Elevate Leadership, and then the Mary Magdalene work. So it's in Elevate Leadership, I learned that you can either be right or you can be happy, right? So underneath that, you can either be right or you can be loving, or the person who returns to love first wins. And the sacred return to love, that sacred initiation back to the love and out of the ego, understanding, hey, the ego is here to protect me, but am I actually unsafe right now? Or is this ego protection creating chaos that's breaking down and protecting me and not creating love? And so a lot of times when we're in a fight with our partners, a lot of clients come to me and they're like, my partner does this and doesn't do this for me. And the other one's like, you don't do this for me. You don't do this for me. You don't do this for me. And so the first month of us working together, I just help them get clear on exactly what it is that they want, because they're so good at saying what they don't want, but they're not good at saying what they want as a society. We are not good at expressing what it is that we deeply desire. We are uncomfortable with this. I'm not saying what I'm talking about is easy. It's simple, but it's not easy. And so when we focus on what it is that we desire, That can be uncomfortable and it can be vulnerable and it can be scary, but it's really powerful. It's the most powerful way. But we think as a society that being in the ego is right and we got to protect ourselves and we have to make the other person wrong. And that doesn't work. It's not working. It's not supporting us. It's not effective. And so let's try another way. Are you with me? And that is starting with a mindfulness practice if you don't have one already. And in that mindfulness practice, really doing the reinforcement of admiration. So long-term eroticism is not built on fantasy alone. The honeymoon phase disappears. It goes away. Long-term eroticism, long-term intimacy is built on admiration. It's built on gratitude. It's built on encouragement. It's built on reinforcement. And so couples who sustain desire are not perfect. Perfectionism kills eroticism. We can't be perfect. Nobody can. We're all going to mess up. We're all going to do things that are hurtful. We're all going to be frustrated and our ego is going to get involved and we're going to protect ourselves. It is that. The important thing is owning what you did that was hurtful and apologizing and saying you're sorry and then going back to gratitude and making gratitude and appreciation a practice in your relationship with your partner, in a relationship with yourself, in a relationship with your family, a relationship with your friendships and your colleagues, and so forth. Couples who sustain desire are not perfect, like I said, but they are appreciative. They create an ecosystem where effort is noticed, where growth is celebrated, where mistakes are addressed without an inhalation of identity. And if your partner feels like a failure in your presence, passion will fade. If your partner feels admiration in your presence, passion grows. Think about that. It's really important to be responsible, to be in gratitude, to be in appreciation, to be in love, to choose love, and to feed what you want to grow. To feed what you want to grow in your partner, to feed what you want to grow in your body, to feed what you want to grow in your community, to feed what you want to grow in your world, to just nourish and feed what it is that you desire. And you cannot criticize someone into becoming your dream lover. You cannot criticize someone into becoming your dream lover, but you can reinforce them into it. Notice what is working. Speak it, magnify it, and watch your relationship respond. So I want to challenge you to really catch yourself this week. Take a pause, take a breath, do the 5-1 rule, 5 appreciations to 1 frustration, and don't criticize because criticism isn't working, but express the impact of their actions and how it makes you feel. Express the impact of their actions and how it makes me feel. When you speak to me with this tone, I feel scared and want to run away. What I desire instead is when you are late all the time, that makes me feel unappreciated. What I desire instead is this. How can we work together? I would love for you to be on time. How can we make sure that is a priority? Become team, work together, support each other. Together to reinforce what works, because when you reinforce what works, that becomes your reality. You're putting energy into what is right, and that nourishes and supports and makes just everything so much better. And that's what I got for you guys today. This is a short episode. I am okay with that because I just got back from El Paso, Texas on a plane, spending Valentine's Day out there, and life is good. So I've been really focusing on this with my clients. It's working. I've been focusing on this in my own intimate relationship. I'm also been focusing on this with my relationship with my father, and I'm in all relationships around me. And again, remember, it's not about manipulation. It's not about cheesy, fake appreciation. Like really, when you have this mindfulness practice and you go into your heart and you really start having the practice of seeing what is working and what is right in your life, it can change everything. And then magic happens and you see all this beauty all around you. It's really quite amazing. This is Sex Ritual Radio, and this is Rose Heartsong. And have an absolutely gorgeous, beautiful night, y'all.